The sky changed in 30 seconds. 30 damn seconds. I was 4 kilometers off the coast of Valencia when the blue horizon turned into a black wall. Without warning, without notice. The weather radio had announced calm seas for the entire day. That's why I had decided to go farther than usual, to look for bigger fish in the area where the currents cross. The first gust shook my small fishing boat like a slap. The fishing rods fell. The cooler with the day's catch slid across the deck and crashed against the rail. I tried to reach the controls, but a 3-meter wave crashed against the port side. The boat tilted 45 degrees. I fell against the hatch. It split my eyebrow. Blood blinded me. "Mayday! Mayday!" I screamed into the radio while turning the wheel. There was no response, only static. The storm was blocking the signal. Another wave, this time head-on. The impact threw me against the instrument panel. I felt something break in my shoulder. The pain was immediate, sharp, but I had no time for that. Water was already pouring in under the cabin door. The engine roared when I forced it to maximum power, trying to face the waves. It worked for exactly 27 seconds. Then, silence. The worst possible sound in the middle of a storm. I saw the wave before it hit. A mountain of black water, taller than a 2-story building. I didn't try to dodge it. It was impossible. I just grabbed the railing and prayed for the first time in 15 years. The impact was like hitting concrete. The glass cabin exploded. Thousands of fragments flew around me. I felt cuts on my face, on my arms. The freezing water hit me like a fist. The pressure tore me from the railing. I was thrown out and fell into the sea. The water was so cold it burned. The currents dragged me in all directions. I kicked, trying to stay afloat, but my broken shoulder prevented me from swimming properly. To my right, my boat was sinking. The bow pointed to the sky like an accusing finger before disappearing under the waves. Something hit my head, a piece of wood. I grabbed it by instinct. It was my salvation. It allowed me to stay afloat while the waves threw me around like a rag doll. I don't know how much time passed. Minutes turned into hours. The storm kept roaring, but I no longer had the strength to be afraid. The cold had numbed my body. I could no longer feel my fingers, my legs. Hypothermia was advancing. When I saw the black figure approaching underwater, I thought it was a hallucination, a product of my dying mind. But then yellow eyes looked at me from the depths. Not human, bright, vertical, like a cat's. Eyes that reflected the scarce light of the storm. The last thing I remember, before losing consciousness, were cold arms surrounding my waist and dragging me down, towards darkness. I was breathing. That was my first conscious thought. I was breathing, which meant I was alive. I opened my eyes. Almost complete darkness. Only a faint greenish light illuminated the space. I was lying on something cold and hard. Polished stone. I moved my fingers, then my arms. The pain in my shoulder had disappeared. I touched it, incredulous. It wasn't broken. Impossible. I sat up slowly. I was in some kind of cave. The walls were black rock, shiny like obsidian. Water covered the floor up to my ankles. Salt water. Seawater. "You woke up earlier than expected." The voice came from behind me. I turned too quickly. I got dizzy and almost fell. When I regained my balance, I saw her. A woman. Or something like a woman. Tall, with dark skin that had a slight greenish tone. Her black hair floated around her as if she were underwater, though we were in the air. But it was her eyes that paralyzed me. Yellow, vertical. The same ones I had seen in the sea before fainting. "Where am I?" My voice sounded hoarse, strange. "Who are you?" "You are in my home." She moved towards me. She didn't walk. She glided over the water, barely disturbing it. "As for who I am, that depends on your culture. Siren, Nereid, Undine. Humans have many names for us." I stepped back. My back hit the cold wall. "This is a hallucination. I'm dead or delirious from hypothermia." She tilted her head. Her expression was curious, like that of a scientist studying an interesting specimen. "You are not dead, fisherman. Not yet." She came closer. Now I could see details of her face. Sharp features, full lips, small bright scales that dotted her temples and cheeks. I saved you. I brought you to my realm when your boat sank. Why? The question came out before I could think it. Her smile revealed slightly pointed teeth. Because I need you. She moved so fast I could barely follow her. In one instant, she was 3 meters away. The next, right in front of me. Her cold hand touched my chest, right where my heart was beating. Your species has caused problems. They have polluted my waters. They have stolen my creatures. They have destroyed my reefs. Her voice hardened. I need a messenger. Someone who returns to the surface world and delivers a message. What message? A warning. Her yellow eyes studied me. But first, I need to know if you are worthy, if I can trust you. And if I'm not, I surprised myself with my courage, or my stupidity. The creature that called herself a siren smiled again. This time it was not a kind gesture. Then you will never return to the surface. There are many ways to die by drowning, fisherman. Some take days. I swallowed. Fear was now a physical presence, a weight in my stomach. What do I have to do? First, heal. She pointed towards the back of the cave. Then learn. And finally, choose. Choose what? Her eyes locked onto mine. Between loving me or dying. The siren, she never told me her name. Or perhaps she didn't have one. Led me through a labyrinth of underwater tunnels. We walked through passages where the water reached our knees, then dove into pools that descended dozens of meters. The impossible. I could breathe underwater. I didn't feel the need for air. My body functioned as if water were my natural element. It's temporary, she explained when she saw my amazement. A gift from me. Don't abuse it. Her kingdom was vast. A network of grottos, chambers, and catacombs carved into the rock of the seabed. Some were flooded, others dry. In the largest ones, colonies of unknown sea creatures pulsed with bioluminescent light, providing spectral illumination. How long have I been here? I asked, as we crossed a hall where giant jellyfish floated on the ceiling, their tentacles hanging like living lamps. Time doesn't work the same under the sea, she replied without looking at me. For you, perhaps 3 days. For the world above, more. How much more? She didn't answer. We arrived at a circular chamber. In the center, there was a column of water that rose from the floor to the ceiling, like an inverted fountain. Inside, objects floated. I approached. They were human remains, not bodies, but possessions. Watches, rings, mobile phones, wallets. What is this? Memories. Her voice sounded different, almost nostalgic. From others like you, castaways, visitors. What happened to them? She looked at me with those feline eyes. Some returned, others stayed. By choice or by force? Does the difference matter? I didn't answer. My attention had fixed on an object floating in the water column. A wristwatch. Exactly like the one my father wore when his fishing boat disappeared 15 years ago. I put my hand into the liquid column. The water was strangely thick, like gelatin. My fingers brushed the watch. The siren moved faster than I could see. Her hand grabbed my wrist with superhuman strength. Her nails, now long and sharp like claws, dug into my skin until they drew blood. Don't touch what doesn't belong to you. Her voice was a hiss. She no longer seemed human at all. I withdrew my hand. The blood from the punctures dissolved in the water, forming red spirals. It was my father's, I said. He disappeared at sea 15 years ago. His boat never returned. Something changed in her expression. It wasn't compassion, but interest, as if she had just discovered something valuable. You have his blood? She approached, studying me with new intensity. The fisherman who violated our treaty? What treaty? My father was an honest man. He respected the sea. The siren emitted a sound between laughter and hissing. Your father entered forbidden waters. He fished sacred creatures. He was warned 3 times. On the 4th, she gestured towards the floating watch. Rage blinded me. I lunged at her without thinking. It was like attacking a shadow. She vanished in the water and reappeared behind me. I felt a brutal blow to my back. I fell to my knees. Your father died because he broke the rules. Her voice was cold as the depths. And now you are here. Coincidence? There are no coincidences at sea. I got up slowly, controlling my anger. What do you want from me? I already told you. A messenger. Someone who warns your kind that we are losing patience. She glided around me. But now I see there is something more. A blood debt. I won't pay for what my father didn't do. Oh, but you will. Her hand caressed my cheek. The contact was cold, but it no longer made me shudder like before. I was getting used to her inhuman temperature. One way or another. During the following days, if they were days, because without sun it was impossible to know, the Siren subjected me to what she called trials of valor. In reality, they were tortures. She made me swim to depths where pressure threatened to crush my lungs, despite the gift of breathing water. She abandoned me in mazes of poisonous coral, where each touch meant lacerating pain. She forced me to hunt abyssal creatures with my bare hands, beasts with needle-like teeth and toxic skin. Each time I failed, she appeared, healed me with her strange power, and we started again. Each time I succeeded, her expression became more intrigued, as if I were exceeding her expectations. Why do you do this? I asked her one night while resting in the small cave she had assigned me as a room. My body was covered with scars that appeared and disappeared at her whim. To see if you are worthy? Worthy of what? Of being your messenger? Or is there something more? She sat beside me. Her black hair floated around her face like a crown of darkness. Do you know why sirens lured sailors in your old legends? To kill them, I replied. To test them, she corrected. The weak died. The strong became something more. Into what? She didn't answer directly. Instead, she took me to a new chamber I hadn't seen before. It was the largest so far, an underwater cathedral with columns of petrified coral. In the center was a throne carved from a single block of obsidian. But it wasn't the throne that left me breathless. It were the figures surrounding it, beings half human, half marine. Some had legs but scaly skin. Others, gills on their necks, but human faces. All watched me with the same inhuman gaze as my captor. You call them Tritons, she said. They are those who chose to love instead of die, those who stayed voluntarily. Were they human? My voice sounded weak even to me. They were, she confirmed. Castaways like you, lost souls in the storm. They approached us. There were at least a dozen. They didn't speak, only observed with eyes that had forgotten how to be human. This is our council, the Siren explained. The guardians of the depths. Those who decided that the world above didn't deserve their return. One of them stepped forward. He was larger than the others, with a bony crest on his head and arms covered with spines. He studied me intently, and then spoke. His voice sounded like rocks dragged by the current. He has the traitor's blood. The Siren nodded. That's why he's here. The debt must be paid. Wait, I intervened. If my father really violated some treaty, I have nothing to do with that. You can't punish me for his actions. Naive, said the leader Triton. At sea, blood is everything. Debts pass from father to son, like tides pass from moon to moon. The Siren gestured, and the council retreated into the shadows. You have one last trial, she told me when we were alone. The most important one, and then I can leave? Her yellow eyes locked onto mine. If you overcome it and choose wisely, you can return. With our message. What is the trial? She smiled, showing those sharp teeth that no longer seemed so terrifying to me. I was getting too used to the inhuman. You must find the heart of the sea. The heart of the sea is not a place, she explained, as we swam through an underwater canyon so deep that light didn't reach the bottom. It's not an object you can hold. It's knowledge. She had equipped me with a kind of armor made from shells and bones of sea creatures. It protected me from the cold and extreme pressures. She had also given me a trident carved from black coral. "I don't understand," I said. "What knowledge?" "The secret that keeps the ocean alive. The truth that all sailors seek and fear to find." She always spoke like this, in riddles and metaphors. During our time together, I had learned not to pressure. The answers came when she wanted to give them, not before. We descended to what looked like a graveyard of ships. Dozens of vessels from all eras lay on the seabed. Spanish galleons alongside modern cargo ships, all in perfect condition, as if they had just sunk. "What is this place?" "The pit of memories." She pointed to a boat I recognized immediately. My father's fishing boat. "Here we keep the memories of those who violated our laws." I swam towards the boat, driven by a mixture of nostalgia and rage. The Siren didn't stop me this time. The fishing boat was intact, as if the storm that supposedly sank it had never happened. I entered through the hatch. Everything was as I remembered it. The nets carefully coiled, the hooks organized by size, the small table where we ate during long fishing days, even the photo of me and my mother that he always carried. And then I saw him, sitting in his captain's chair, as if he were waiting for me. A figure that seemed made of flesh and bone, but with a spectral glow that betrayed its nature. My father, or something that wore his form. "Son." His voice sounded distant, like through water, even though we were submerged. "You're not real," I said, gripping the trident. "You're an illusion created by her." The figure smiled with the same smile I remembered. "Does it matter what I am? You are here. I am here. We have a conversation pending for 15 years. I felt a lump in my throat. Illusion or not, seeing him after so long hurt more than I expected. "Why did you enter forbidden waters?" I asked. "The Siren says you violated some kind of treaty." My father's figure stood up. He moved like him, had his gestures, his way of tilting his head slightly when he was thinking. "I did it for you." "For me?" "You were sick, remember? The doctors said you wouldn't make it through winter." He approached. I could see every wrinkle on his face, the scar on his chin from the hook accident when I was 7. There were rumors among the fishermen, stories about creatures in the depths whose blood could cure any disease. "That's impossible?" His laughter sounded exactly as I remembered it. "Look at yourself now, breathing water, talking to the dead. What part of your current life isn't impossible?" He was right. Who was I to decide what was possible or not in a world where sirens existed? "Did you find it? The cure?" His expression darkened. "I found it. I hunted one of their sacred creatures. I extracted its blood." A chill ran down my spine. "And it worked?" "I got home just in time. You were almost dead. I gave you the blood mixed with water." His spectral hand tried to touch my cheek, but passed through me. The next morning, the fever was gone. 2 days later, you were running on the beach as if you had never been sick. "But the price?" I murmured. "I knew they would come for me. The creatures of the sea don't forgive. That's why I taught you everything I knew about navigation, about the sea, so you could survive when I was no longer there." "Dad!" The word came out like a sob. "I didn't come here deceived, son. I came knowing what I had done and accepting the price. My life for yours. It's the fairest deal I've ever made." The realization hit me like a wave. That's why I'm here. It's not a coincidence that I was shipwrecked in the same area. My father's figure nodded. "The blood you took has a price. It always did. I paid for stealing it. Now you must pay for using it. Is that the truth? The heart of the sea? That everything has a price?" "The heart of the sea is more than that." He pointed towards the cabin door. The Siren was there, watching us. "She will show it to you if you are worthy." He began to fade, like mist scattered by the wind. "Wait!" I screamed. Are you at peace?" His last smile was all that remained as his form dissipated. "I have been since I know you're still alive. The siren took me deeper, to a place where even abyssal creatures feared to go. A crack in the seabed so dark it seemed to absorb light. Only her yellow eyes shone in the blackness. "What you saw was an echo," she said as we descended. "A memory preserved in salt and water. It wasn't really your father." "I know," I replied, though part of me wanted to believe I had truly spoken with him. "But what he said, was it true? Did he steal blood from your creatures to cure me?" "Yes." Her voice sounded distant. "The blood of a deep-sea jellyfish. An ancient species, almost extinct. Each one takes 100 years to mature. And that's why you killed him. That's why he paid his debt," she corrected, "as you will pay yours." "What debt?" "I didn't ask to be cured. I was a child. And yet, you live thanks to our sacrifice. The blood that runs through your veins is not completely human. Haven't you wondered why you can breathe underwater so easily? Why your wounds heal faster than a normal human's?" It was true. The trials she had imposed on me would have killed anyone else. And yet, I survived. I adapted. We reached the bottom of the crack. There, embedded in the rock, was a door. Not metallic or wooden, but formed by living coral that pulsed with its own light. "The sanctuary," announced the siren. "Only the worthy can enter." "What's inside?" "The heart of the sea, the truth you seek." I took it without hesitation. After weeks in her company, her cold skin was already familiar to me, almost comforting. The door opened when we approached. A blue glow emanated from within. We entered together. It was a perfectly circular chamber. In the center floated a sphere of water that glowed as if it contained all the stars in the sky. It emitted a rhythmic pulse, like a heartbeat. "The heart of the sea," the siren whispered. "It's not metaphorical. It's real." I approached, hypnotized. The sphere pulsed with its own life. "What is it exactly?" "The first drop of water that existed in the world. The seed of all oceans. If it were destroyed..." She left the sentence unfinished. "The seas would die," I concluded. "Everything that lives in them, too." "Why are you showing me this? What does this have to do with me?" She positioned herself beside me, so close our shoulders touched. "Because your species is killing the oceans. Slowly, drop by drop. Poison, plastic, overfishing." Her voice adopted a tone I hadn't heard from her before, almost pleading. "We need a bridge between our worlds, someone who understands both sides." "And that's me?" "Why?" "Because of the blood you carry. You are more of our world than you think." She moved closer. Her face was inches from mine. For the first time, I saw something human in her inhuman eyes. Vulnerability. "I have watched you these weeks. You are strong, adaptable, not like the others we brought." "Those who became Tritons?" "They chose to stay because they feared returning, because they preferred the safety of the depths to the chaos of the human world." Her hand caressed my cheek. "You are different. You could return and change things." In that moment, I felt something I hadn't experienced in all these weeks. Trust. Perhaps even affection towards this creature who had kidnapped me, tortured me, and strangely, taught me. What is the message I must carry? Her smile seemed genuine for the first time. "It's not a message of words, but of knowledge. You must show them what you have seen, what you have learned." "How?" "With this." She took out a small object from among the folds of her scaly skin. It looked like a pearl, but pulsed with the same light as the central sphere. "What is it?" "A fragment of the heart. With it, you'll be able to communicate with me from the surface. Show others what you have seen down here." I took it. It was warm to the touch, unlike everything else in this underwater kingdom. "There's something you're not telling me," I said, suddenly cautious. Her expression changed. The moment of vulnerability had passed. "The fragment has a price," she admitted. "It will allow you to return to the surface, but it will bind you to me. Forever." "What does that mean exactly?" "It means you will never be completely human again. Part of you will always belong to the sea." "To me?" And if I refuse? Her eyes hardened. Then you will never leave here. You will join the council as one more of the Tritons, or feed the creatures of the abyss. The truth, finally. It wasn't a messenger she was looking for. It was a slave, a puppet on the surface to fulfill her will. All of this, I said, feeling anger growing inside me. The trials, the stories about my father, showing me the heart. Was it all to manipulate me? To prepare you, she corrected, to see if you were worthy of the task. Worthy of being your puppet? Her eyes shone dangerously. Worthy of being my consort. The word left me breathless. Your what? Why do you think I saved you specifically? Why have I kept you alive when I could have let you die in the storm? She approached, her face now a mask of determination. I have been searching for decades for someone like you. Someone with blood from the sea in their veins, but a human heart in their chest. For what? To rule together. To create a new lineage of guardians who understand both worlds. It was too much. A trap within another trap. She didn't want a messenger. She wanted a companion. A stallion. I took a step back, moving away from her. No! Her expression hardened. You have no choice. There's always a choice, I said, squeezing the pearl in my hand. You just showed me that. I didn't know what would happen, but I sensed it wouldn't be good. The pearl pierced the surface of the sphere. For an instant, nothing happened. Then, a pulse of energy exploded from the center, throwing us both against the walls. The siren's scream was the most human thing I had heard from her. It wasn't rage, but pain. Genuine pain. What have you done? She roared while the chamber began to shake. Cracks appeared in the ceiling and walls. Create a third option, I replied, swimming towards the exit. The explosion had destabilized the entire structure. The sanctuary was collapsing around us. Blocks of coral and rock fell like deadly rain. I swam with all my strength towards the exit, driven by adrenaline and survival instinct. Behind me, the siren wailed. A sound that pierced the water, so sharp, I felt like my head was going to explode. It wasn't a scream of rage, but a call. She was summoning her creatures. I emerged from the crack just as the first predator appeared, an eel of impossible proportions, with 3 rows of teeth and transparent skin that revealed pulsating organs. It missed me by inches. I had no plan, only one objective: reach the surface. But we were kilometers deep. Even with my ability to breathe water, the pressure would kill me if I ascended too quickly. I needed a hiding place, somewhere to think. I remembered the ship graveyard. If I could get there, maybe I would find some corner where I could hide while deciding what to do. I swam horizontally, trying to maintain the same depth. More creatures appeared, responding to their mistress's call. Giant jellyfish. Albino sharks, with eyes too intelligent. Crustaceans that seemed armored with metal instead of shell. They pursued me, but didn't attack. They just watched, followed. They waited for orders. After what seemed like an eternity, I spotted the outlines of the sunken ships. I accelerated, using the last reserves of energy. I entered the hull of an old destroyer, probably from World War II. Its narrow corridors would give me an advantage over the larger predators. I hid in what seemed to have been the engine room. I was safe for now. But for how long? And what would I do next? The surface was still unreachable without a plan. It was then that I noticed something strange in my hand. The pearl. It was there, intact. Impossible. I had thrown it against the sphere. I examined it more closely. It pulsed with light, but the rhythm was different. Faster, like an accelerated heart. And inside it, I saw images, fragments of visions. The surface, the sky, the sun. I understood that I hadn't destroyed anything. The pearl had absorbed part of the sphere's power. And now it was showing me a path. A sound alerted me. Something was approaching through the corridor. I hid behind a rusted turbine. The siren entered the room. She no longer resembled the seductive creature I had known. Her skin was now completely scaly. Her hands ended in sharp claws. A bony crest ran along her head. She had transformed into her true form. a primordial predator. "I know you're here," she said. Her voice sounded distorted, as if several creatures were speaking at once. "I can smell your blood, the blood you stole from us." I remained motionless, barely breathing. "What you have done is unforgivable," she continued. "The heart is damaged. It will take decades to heal." She moved through the room, sniffing like a shark, each time she got closer to my hiding place. "But you can still redeem yourself. Give me the pearl. Accept your destiny by my side. I will forgive you, even after your betrayal." The pearl in my hand pulsed more intensely. It showed me a clear image, the emergency hatch, just meters from where I was hiding. "I didn't want to do this," I said, revealing my position. I needed to distract her. I didn't want to damage anything. She turned toward me, her eyes now completely black. "Liar. I saw it in your mind from the beginning. The rebellion, human pride." She advanced toward me slowly. "You are exactly like your father. You take what you want without thinking about the consequences." "My father paid his debt," I replied. "I will pay mine, but not like this. Not as your prisoner or your consort." "Do you think you have a choice?" She laughed, a sound like rocks crashing underwater. "You are in my kingdom. You breathe because I allow it. You live because I desire it." "You're wrong." I opened my hand, showing her the pearl. "Now I have this." Her expression changed. For the first time, I saw fear in her eyes. "You don't know how to use it. It will destroy you." "Maybe." I moved slowly toward the hatch, but I'd rather take that risk than become your pet. She lunged at me with superhuman speed. Her claws grazed my cheek, opening 3 deep cuts. The pain was immediate and blinding, but I was already in motion. I turned the hatch handle and pushed with all my strength. It opened. The water pressure hit us both, sucking me outward. The last thing I saw was her face contorted with rage and something else. Something that looked like sadness. I was expelled from the sunken ship like a projectile. The current dragged me several hundred meters before I could stabilize myself. I was disoriented, bleeding, but alive. I looked up. The surface was an impossible target without help. I looked at the pearl in my hand. It kept pulsing, showing me images. It was guiding me. "Show me how to get out of here," I told it, feeling ridiculous for talking to an inanimate object. To my surprise, the pearl glowed more intensely. An image formed inside it. Me, swimming toward a vertical current that rose like an underwater tornado. An underwater geyser. I looked around. About 200 meters away, I saw exactly what the pearl had shown me. A column of water that ascended violently, cutting through the horizontal currents. I had no time to doubt. The Siren's creatures would find me soon. I swam toward the vertical current. When I was about to reach it, something grabbed my leg. I looked down. One of the translucent eels had wrapped its body around my calf. Its teeth dug into my flesh. I screamed, but the sound was lost in the water. The pain was unbearable. I tried to hit it with my fists, but it was like hitting reinforced rubber. The pearl in my hand pulsed. Without thinking, I pressed it against the eel's body. The effect was immediate. The creature convulsed as if it had received an electric shock. Its teeth retracted. It unwound from my leg and swam away, writhing in pain. I didn't wait to see if it would return. I swam the last meters and threw myself into the ascending current. It was like being caught by a tornado. The force was brutal. My body spun uncontrollably. The pressure in my ears was unbearable. I closed my eyes and concentrated on holding on not letting go of the pearl that was my only hope. I don't know how much time I spent in that vertical whirlpool. Minutes, maybe hours. At some point, I lost consciousness. Not the greenish light of the depths, but sunlight filtered through water. I was close to the surface, maybe only 30 or 40 meters away. My leg was bleeding profusely where the eel had bitten me. I had to reach the surface before attracting predators. I began swimming upward. Each stroke was torture. My muscles screamed with exhaustion. Blood loss made me dizzy, but the vision of sunlight gave me strength. 20 meters, 10 meters, 5. A hand emerged from below and grabbed my ankle. Her face was a mask of fury and determination. Nothing human remained in her. "You will never be free from me," she hissed. "The blood that gave you life belongs to me. You owe me your existence." I tried to break free, but her grip was like cold steel. "I owe you nothing," I replied. "My father paid the debt with his life. Your father stole what could not be stolen. You carry that theft in your veins." She pulled me toward her with superhuman strength. "If you cannot be mine willingly, you will be mine by force." Her claws dug into my chest, searching for something. I understood with horror that she was trying to reach my heart. In a desperate act, I raised the pearl. The sunlight passed through it, magnifying its brightness. "Please," I whispered to the pearl, though I didn't know if it could hear me. "Help me." The pearl exploded in light. It wasn't a physical explosion, but energetic. A shock wave that separated me and the siren. She screamed, a sound of primal pain that pierced the water. She remained suspended meters from me, her body convulsing, as if the light caused her physical pain. "This isn't over," she said between spasms. "I will come back for you. I always come back for what is mine." She sank into the darkness, her form fading until only her yellow eyes remained glowing in the depth. Then, nothing. I swam the last meters desperately. My head broke the surface. Air. After weeks breathing water, the air burned my lungs. I coughed, spat salt water, gasped. The sky had never seemed so beautiful. Blue, infinite, free of threats. It was several kilometers away, but it was visible. I could make it. I began to swim, ignoring the pain, the fatigue, the fear. Only one direction existed. Forward, toward home. I dragged myself onto the sand, unable to stand. Every muscle in my body trembled from the effort. I lay on my back, looking at the sky. The sun was setting, tinting the clouds orange and pink. Colors I had forgotten existed during my time in the depths. The pearl was still there, clutched between my fingers. It no longer glowed so intensely, but it still emitted a weak pulse, like a tired heart. I didn't know how much time had passed since my shipwreck. Weeks? Months? The siren had said that time worked differently under the sea. Would they have given me up for dead? Would there be an empty funeral, like my father's 15 years ago? With effort, I sat up. I recognized the beach. I was about 5 kilometers from the port where I used to dock my boat, now destroyed at the bottom of the sea. I tried to stand up. The pain in my leg where the eel had bitten me was unbearable. I looked at the wound for the first time under sunlight. It wasn't just a bite. The skin around it had become scaly, with a sickly greenish tone. The infection was spreading up my calf. Or maybe it wasn't infection. Maybe it was transformation. That part of me would always belong to the sea. Was this what she meant? Was I slowly turning into one of her tritons? I had to seek help. Medical, scientific, maybe even spiritual. Someone who understood what was happening to me. Each step was agony, but I refused to give up. Not after surviving everything I had faced. I must have been a pitiful sight. Half naked, covered in cuts and bruises, limping with a leg that looked infected. "My God, young man! What happened to you?" The man held me when I was about to fall. "Shipwreck," was all I could say. My voice sounded hoarse, as if I hadn't used it for months to speak in the air. "Maria, call an ambulance," the old man shouted to his wife. She was already taking out her mobile phone. How long have I been missing?" I asked, while they helped me sit on a nearby bench. They looked at each other, confused. "Are you from the shipwreck of the Maria del Mar?" the woman asked. I nodded. That was my boat's name. "Son, that was 3 months ago," the man said. "They gave you up for dead. There was a ceremony and everything." 3 months? I had spent the entire summer under the sea, in the Siren's kingdom. Time really did flow differently there. I didn't know how to explain what I needed. Warn about the sea creatures? Seek a cure for my transformation? Hide forever? The ambulance arrived in minutes. The paramedics examined me quickly and put me on the stretcher. One of them noticed my leg. "What the hell is this?" he murmured to his partner. I've never seen an infection like this. I tried to explain to them, but the words wouldn't come out. How do you describe the indescribable? How do you make them believe the unimaginable? As they put me into the ambulance, I felt a pull in my hand. The pearl. It pulsed more intensely, almost as if warning me. I looked toward the sea. For an instant, I thought I saw a face among the waves. Yellow eyes watching me. A silent promise. I will come back for you. The hospital was full of noises, smells, and sensations that were overwhelming after months in the silence of the depths. The fluorescent lights blinded me. The constant beeping of machines drilled into my brain. The smell of disinfectant burned my nostrils, accustomed to the salty aroma of the ocean. The doctors didn't understand what was wrong with my leg. The infection didn't respond to any antibiotic. The greenish scales slowly spread across my skin. They caused no pain, but transformed my flesh into something that was no longer human. My mother came to see me. The shock of finding me alive after 3 months had left her speechless. She cried for hours, clinging to my hand, as if she feared I would disappear again. I didn't tell her the whole truth. How could I? I told her I had survived on a deserted island, that I had managed to build a raft, that the current had dragged me back to the coast. A conventional survival story. Believable. Safe. But at night, when I was alone, I took the pearl out from under the pillow. It kept pulsing, more weakly each day, as if it were dying away from the sea. Sometimes, when I held it against the light, I saw images inside it, the underwater sanctuary, the heart of the sea, damaged but recovering. The Siren, watching me from the aquatic shadows. A week after my admission, I received an unexpected visit. A middle-aged man, with a scientist's coat and an expression of barely contained curiosity. "Mr. Martinez, I'm Dr. Ferrer, from the Oceanographic Institute," he introduced himself. "Your doctors have consulted me about your condition." "My leg," I said, uncovering the sheet to show him the transformation that already reached my knee. He took out a small magnifying glass and examined the scales. "Extraordinary," he murmured. "They don't resemble anything known. The cellular structure must be incredible." "Can you stop it?" I asked. "I don't know, but I'd like to try. We have a laboratory specialized in marine biology. If you allow me to transfer you there." "What kind of treatment?" "Experimental, of course. We've never seen anything like this. But we have state-of-the-art equipment, government funding." Something in his enthusiasm put me on alert. It wasn't compassion I saw in his eyes. It was scientific ambition, discovery, recognition. What would happen to me? "Oh, you'd be perfectly cared for. Private room, the best specialists." "As a patient or as a specimen?" "I need to think about it," I said. "Of course, but don't wait too long. The transformation seems to be accelerating." The scales no longer only covered my leg. I had discovered small patches on my back, under my arm, on my neck. I was becoming something different. Something that didn't belong to the surface world. The pearl under my pillow pulsed more strongly than in previous days, as if it sensed my dilemma. Inside it, I saw the Siren's face clearly. She no longer showed rage or threat, only patient waiting. She knew I had to make a decision. Or accept my transformation and return to the sea? Be a phenomenon in the world of men, or a hybrid in the kingdom of the depths, or his echoes in the sunken ship? I knew they would come for me. The creatures of the sea don't forgive. The Siren would never leave me in peace. The transformation of my body was only the beginning. She would claim me, one way or another. I made a decision. I got up, disconnected the monitors, and dressed with the clothes my mother had brought. Limping, I left the room. The nighttime hospital was almost deserted. No one stopped me. I got a taxi. I asked him to take me to the port. The driver looked at me strangely, but didn't ask questions when I offered him double the fare. The port slept under the moonlight. I headed to the docks, where the fishermen moored their boats. I knew all the owners. I knew which one wouldn't go fishing the next day. I entered a small fishing boat, similar to my lost one. I started the engine. No one saw me set sail in the darkness. I navigated to the exact place where I had been shipwrecked 3 months earlier. I recognized it by instinct, as if an internal compass guided me. There, with the engine idling, I took out the pearl. It shone intensely now, as if it knew we had returned to the place where it all began. "I know you can hear me," I said aloud. "I know you're watching me." Only the sound of waves against the hull responded. "I won't be your prisoner. I won't be your consort against my will. But I also can't live on the surface as a monster, as a laboratory specimen. Not from the wind, but from something moving underneath. I propose a new deal, a treaty between your world and mine." Her form was the initial one, the most human, beautiful and terrifying at once. Her yellow eyes shone under the moonlight. "Humans don't listen to treaties," she said. "They only understand force. Some do listen. I listen." "And what do you propose, fisherman?" Her voice was captivating, hypnotic. I had to make an effort to maintain my resolve. "I will be your messenger, as you initially wanted, but on my terms. I will live between both worlds. Half a year on the surface, half a year in the depths. I will carry your message of sea protection, but as an ally, not as a slave." "Why should I accept?" "I can simply wait for the transformation to force you back to me. Because you need a bridge, not a subject. Someone who understands both worlds and can translate between them." She approached the boat's rail. She could have touched me if she extended her hand. "And what guarantee do I have of your loyalty?" I raised the pearl. "This. I know what it is. A fragment of the heart of the sea. Your heart, in a way. I will keep it as a constant reminder of my promise." Her eyes narrowed, evaluating me. "You are cunning, fisherman, like your father." "My father stole out of love. I negotiate for survival." "Half a year," she repeated. "When the full moon touches the sea on the winter solstice, you will return to me." "I will. If you break your word, the transformation will complete in an instant. You will become a creature of the abyss, incapable of breathing air, incapable of communicating with your kind." "I understand." It wasn't a human gesture of agreement, but something more ancient. A pact sealed with something more valuable than signatures. Blood flowed, red, but with a slight greenish tone. I let it fall into the water, where her hand waited. "Until the solstice, then," she said as she submerged. "Until the solstice," I replied. The pearl in my hand pulsed with a rhythm I now recognized, the beat of my own heart, synchronized with that of the sea. I returned to the port when dawn began to tint the horizon. I had 6 months to prepare the world for what I knew. 6 months to be human before returning to the depths. It wouldn't be enough time. It never would be. But it was a beginning. And in this world divided between land and water, between human and monster, beginnings were all we could hope for. I had chosen a third option: negotiate. Live on the edge. Be the bridge between two worlds that needed each other, but didn't understand each other. They hadn't disappeared, but they weren't advancing either. A constant reminder of the pact I had just sealed. For an instant, I thought I saw a face among the waves, yellow eyes watching me, a silent promise. A blink for a millennial creature like her, an eternity for a man who now lived between two worlds.